Hi, my name is Ayelet Marinovich. I am the founder and creator of Learn with Less and the Learn with Less infant and toddler curriculum. I am here to talk to you a little bit about what learning with less means. Basically, we help new families to feel confident that they can support and connect with their infants and toddlers without having to buy a single toy. And what we really do that, we really base our curriculum and our entire framework on 4 pillars: play, talk, sing, and move. And those 4 pillars in turn get to support all areas of infant and toddler development. So all 4 developmental domains. So cognition, communication, motor and sensory, and social emotional development. So I'm going to be going into all of those with you today. But first, I just wanted to share with you just a tiny bit about Learn with Less. You can find Learn with Less online over here at learnwithless.com. And I help, I help new families, new parents, and caregivers. And I also train other SLPs, occupational therapists, early childhood educators, anyone who has a real educational or professional background in a field related to early child development. And you can see we have a ton of great resources here. I have a podcast, I have a blog, I have 2 best-selling books, which are development and activity guides for playing with your baby from birth to 3 years. And really what, again, I wanted to do today is share with you about the curriculum and really what it means to learn with less. So I have here an infant and toddler development blueprint that I created. You can download it yourself at learnwithless.com/blueprint. And really what it talks through is, infants and toddlers are really learning all the time, but what is it exactly that they are learning about? And what are those areas of development? So also equally importantly, in what ways can we support their development, connecting with our tiny humans to really set the stage for a lifetime of play and creativity and learning? And how can we create access points for every family to do that? So I created the Learn with Less curriculum to help families answer those questions. So let's go to the next page. Maybe I can make this easier for you to see. Here we go. Oh, goodness, that's a little too small. Okay, so the first area of development, I wanted to just first go over this overview of those 4 areas of development and really what those mean, right? So you've got cognitive development, which really are skills involved in thinking and in retaining information. And then you have communicative development, so production of speech and the understanding or use of language. Early literacy can go into that area as well. Motor and sensory development, so the ability to control one's movements and to take in and organize and interpret information through the senses. And then social and emotional development. So those would be skills involved in interaction, in relationships and identity and emotions and empathy. And again, you can download this entire document at learnwithless.com/blueprint. And so if we go into cognitive development, you can see that there are lots of ways that you can do that within the infant years and the infant years, so birth to 12 months, as well as the toddler years. So age 12 months to 36 months is really what I am talking about. And, when we're looking at all of these areas of development, we're really, looking at holistic development. We know that infants and toddlers learn holistically. So really what I want to go into is this last page here, because what we're talking about today, again, is the 4 pillars of Learn with Less. So play, talk, sing, and move. Because we can really go into that sort of matrix of development where you're looking at how you can use play to support cognition, how you can use play to support communication, how you can use play to support motor and sensory, and how you can use play to support social and emotional development, and then so on and so forth through these other three pillars as well. So, really, what we want to do and what we want to help our clients and their families, especially in those infant and toddler years, to focus on is really understanding play, first of all, that first pillar as really exploration, right? Play is about open ended learning and open ended exploration, exploring, experimenting, and really varying the environments that we offer our young children. And really, in general and specifically, there is no specific end goal in mind, right? I think that often as caregivers, uh, I myself am the mother of two young children, but it's easy to sort of want to set up a play schema, for instance, or a play activity, and expect our young children, especially those toddlers, to want to play in a specific way. But as most caregivers of infants and toddlers know, after a little bit of time, whether or not those children are developing along a typical trajectory or whether they're experiencing delays in developmental milestones, uh, we know that, really what helps children to play and to learn is that open ended play and not expecting that something specific is going to happen necessarily. So we know that the caregiver also must be flexible and accepting of what's happening. And when we're talking about all of the things that a child is doing or how they're playing, right? Or how they're moving their body, then we're feeding into the kind of concept development that's happening organically. We're also feeding the language for the play that's happening organically. We might, move into this idea of talk in a few minutes. We'll talk about that. But really, as far as the last piece about play that I want to go into is really that, ensuring safety with a variety of materials. Secondarily, we're going to go into our pillar of talk. For all you speech language pathologists out there, this might be where you feel most comfortable, but it's not necessarily what our families feel most comfortable with, right? So, helping families remember that by implementing or adding more talk or language throughout the day, this can take a variety of forms. So, whether that is talking to your baby in discussion or just observing what you see your child do or what you're doing, right? Repetition with variation. We want to think about those everyday routines and everyday items that our children see and experience every day that we repeat those things and then maybe add a little bit of a shift, right? Create a pattern interrupt in our children's everyday routines so that then maybe they're noticing a new word that we're saying or a new thing that we're discussing with them, or we ask them a new question about a picture in a book that we're reading with them, right? And of course, we want to think about communicating for a variety of purposes, right? Not just to label things, not just to request an object, but also to greet, also to make comments, also to solicit attention, engage in social routines and caregiving routines, right? We also want to encourage communication using a variety of means and modes of communication. We all know that all of us communicate not just through our voice and our verbal language skills, but also through the prosody that we use, through the melody of the language or languages in which we speak, through eye gaze, through proxemics or how close we are to someone, through gestures, right? And we want to model those things so that we can get our children to also imitate us, right? And then wondering aloud, like what might happen next if a child does this next thing, right? Maybe they're looking or putting something in or are attempting to roll over. Maybe just wondering aloud about, oh, I wonder what will happen if you reach your arm out like this, right? And then also not just expecting them to imitate us, but imitating them. So imitating them often, not only in their their words or their sounds or their vocalizations, but also in their movements and also in the kind of rhythms that they're creating by banging on a laundry basket or whatever it might be. And then, of course, modeling that which we want to see our children imitate. All right. So that might look like the kinds of words that we're using, or the tone in which we're speaking, or the ways in which we're, sharing information and regulating our own behavior as the grown-ups in the room. Next, I want to move on to sing. So sing is often the one I get a little bit of pushback from, because not all of us as either professionals or parents or caregivers are terribly confident singing. Some of us love it. It's our preferred mode of communication. We can make anything into a song and sing for hours. And some of us, it's just not what we want to do, right? So number one, sing. And being musical with your child does not only, or with children in general, does not only mean singing all day and all the time, but it can also just mean adding a silly element or using a rhythm or adding joy or silliness or movement or rhythms or chanting into a routine, right? Or maybe it's just distracting or engaging with music or bouncing up and down, remembering that rhythms are everywhere, right? And often, like a child who is just starting to, volitionally move their arm up and down, this is connected to early gestural use, and also can be connected then to banging on a drum, right? Creating meaning out of what our children are doing already and assuming intentionality, and then following what they're doing, imitating them, and engaging in this back and forth conversational turn taking, not only in verbal language, but also through music, through movement, through rhythms, and all of those things. And again, also remembering and reminding our families that we work with that you can make music with what you already have. You can make a shaker out of nearly anything as long as you've got some duct tape and a closed container. You can make a drum out of pots, out of pans, out of laundry baskets, or any cardboard box. There are so many ways to make musical instruments, right? So remembering that, and remembering that we can do these things with what we already have. And then finally, movement. Movement is learning, right? Movement is life. And even for our tiny humans who have motor disorders or motor difficulties, that there are tiny bits of movement that we can create into meaning, right? Into, a head nod to engage a switch, into, raising an arm or raising an eyebrow to indicate a yes or no or other kind of response, right? And also, we're going to want to, especially with those tiniest of humans, consider various planes of movement, right? Forward and backward and side to side and up and down and on a diagonal. And that, of course, those movements can, again, relate to play, to communication and language, to singing and music. And then finally, just that exploration can't be contained, right? There are, of course, boundary setting ideas that we want to use, especially when we're trying to be respectful of where a caregiver wants the learning to happen. Maybe they're not comfortable in the kitchen. This is something we see. Or maybe the kitchen is a wonderful place. Or maybe we can take kitchen items that our children are inevitably interested in and create a small basket on the side and allow children to explore and move in a specific area, so that they can contain a creation of a boundary, but they can move and explore and experience play in a context that's comfortable for everyone. So this is just a little bit of an introduction to what it means to learn with less, a little bit about what I mean when I talk about playing, talking, singing, and moving. And again, remembering that you can do all of these things without any specific toys, without any specific materials, And you can help your families that you work with to remember all of how simple it can be to learn and to enjoy your tiny humans. So please go ahead and check all of this out. You can download this document over at learnwithless.com/blueprint. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say about all of it. Please go ahead and DM me over at Learn with Less on Instagram or Facebook. You can also find me on Pinterest at Learn with Less, and anywhere else that you like to enjoy information, content, and all that. Thanks so much to the SLT Scrapbook and Becky for creating this amazing event. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. Have a great day.